The disclosure era, the worst kept secret. For generations, humanity has looked upward and wondered whether we are alone. The stars inspired myths, religions, navigation, exploration, and eventually science itself. Yet, in the 20th century, the question changed from philosophical curiosity into something more immediate. Are some governments already aware of something unusual operating in our skies? Whether one approaches the subject as a skeptic, a believer, an engineer, a historian, or simply a curious citizen, the UFO and UAP discussion has become one of the most unusual public conversations of the modern era. For decades, the topic lived largely on the edges of society. Pilots reported impossible maneuvers. Radar operators tracked objects with extraordinary performance characteristics. Military personnel described encounters they could not explain. Scientists occasionally expressed interest while maintaining caution. Popular culture transformed the subject into movies, television shows, and novels. Meanwhile, governments around the world repeatedly stated that they possessed no evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. For many people, that seemed to settle the matter. For others, it only deepened the mystery. The birth of the modern mystery. Although strange objects in the sky have been recorded throughout history, many researchers consider 1947 to mark the beginning of the modern UFO era. Civilian pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing several unusual objects near Mount Rainier, moving in a manner unlike conventional aircraft of the time. Newspapers described them as flying saucers, a phrase that would enter global culture almost overnight. Only weeks later came the now famous Roswell incident in New Mexico. Initial military statements referred to the recovery of a flying disc, only to later identify the material as part of a weather balloon project. The event became one of the most debated episodes in modern history. To some, Roswell represented the first public glimpse of a hidden reality. To others, it became an example of how confusion, secrecy, and rumor can combine into enduring mythology. Nearly 80 years later, debate continues. The Cold War and secrecy. The Cold War changed everything. The United States and the Soviet Union entered an era of rapid technological development involving nuclear weapons, spy aircraft, satellites, radar systems, and electronic warfare. Secrecy became a national security necessity. Many technologies that were once considered impossible eventually emerged from classified programs: stealth aircraft, reconnaissance satellites, precision-guided weapons, hypersonic research, advanced sensor systems. As a result, many citizens began asking a simple question: if governments kept these technologies secret for decades, what else might remain classified? This question became one of the foundations of the modern disclosure movement. Project Blue Book and official investigations. The United States Air Force conducted several investigations into unidentified aerial reports. The most famous was Project Blue Book, which operated from 1952 until 1969. Thousands of reports were collected and analyzed. Most cases eventually received conventional explanations involving aircraft, balloons, astronomical objects, atmospheric effects, or observational errors. Some cases remained unresolved. For supporters of disclosure, those unexplained cases represented evidence that something important remained hidden. For skeptics, unresolved simply meant insufficient information rather than extraordinary technology. Both perspectives continue to exist today. Why the subject refused to die. Many public controversies eventually disappear. This one did not. Generation after generation produced new witnesses: commercial airline pilots, military aviators, radar operators, intelligence personnel, scientists, astronauts, civilian observers. Some reports proved mistaken. Others remained unexplained. The persistence of the phenomenon itself became one of the strongest arguments for continued investigation. The Internet changes everything. The rise of the Internet transformed the discussion. Information that once circulated through magazines, conferences, and local discussion groups suddenly became globally available. Government documents were digitized. Historical archives became searchable. Witnesses could compare experiences instantly. Researchers from different countries began collaborating. Unfortunately, misinformation spread just as quickly. The challenge changed from finding information to determining which information deserved confidence. This remains one of the central problems of disclosure research today. 2017. The conversation changes. Many researchers view 2017 as a turning point. Major newspapers reported the existence of a Pentagon program studying unidentified aerial phenomena. Military videos entered public discussion. Highly trained aviators publicly described encounters involving objects that appeared to demonstrate unusual characteristics. Suddenly, the conversation moved from internet forums into congressional offices and national news broadcasts. The question was no longer, do people report seeing unusual things? That answer had always been yes. The new question became, what exactly are these objects, and why are governments taking them seriously enough to investigate them publicly? The new language of disclosure. Another change occurred quietly but significantly. The term UFO began giving way to UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, and later unidentified anomalous phenomena. The change reflected an effort to remove decades of cultural baggage associated with the phrase flying saucer. A UAP does not automatically imply extraterrestrial origin. It simply describes something that has not yet been identified. That distinction is important. Unknown does not automatically mean alien. At the same time, unexplained does not automatically mean insignificant. The 5 possibilities. Most serious discussions eventually arrive at several broad possibilities. 1. Misidentifications and observational errors. 2. Classified domestic technology. 3. Foreign adversary technology. 4. Natural phenomena not yet fully understood. 5. Something entirely new. The truth may involve one category. It may involve several. Different cases may have different explanations. Evidence versus belief. One of the goals of this book is to distinguish between verified public facts, credible testimony, intelligence assessments, technical speculation, cultural mythology, philosophical possibility. The disclosure movement contains all of these simultaneously. Separating them carefully is not a weakness. It is the only path toward understanding. Why this matters. Suppose the answer turns out to be advanced human technology. That would still be historically important. Suppose the answer involves breakthroughs in energy, propulsion, material science, or artificial intelligence. That would reshape civilization. Suppose the answer involves entirely new forms of life or intelligence. The implications would be even larger. Regardless of the outcome, the investigation itself matters. The search for truth has always been one of humanity's defining characteristics. The worst-kept secret. Perhaps the reason this subject refuses to disappear is simple. Too many people have seen something. Too many governments have investigated something. Too many documents exist. Too many questions remain unanswered. Whether history eventually reveals secret aerospace programs, misunderstood natural phenomena, revolutionary physics, or something beyond current imagination, humanity appears to be entering a new era of inquiry. The conversation has escaped the shadows. The hearings have begun. The witnesses are speaking. The archives are opening. The world is watching. And whatever the final answer may be, the age of disclosure has already started. Part 1. The Disclosure Era. Chapter 2. From flying saucers to UAP, history rarely changes all at once. More often it changes quietly, through a series of small events that only later appear connected. The modern disclosure movement began in much the same way. A pilot saw something unusual. A radar operator noticed an impossible track. A military observer filed a report. An intelligence officer asked a question. A government agency opened a file. Eventually, thousands of such moments accumulated into one of the largest mysteries of the modern age. The summer of 1947. Many historians of the UFO subject identify the summer of 1947 as the beginning of the modern era. Civilian pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing several crescent-shaped objects traveling near Mount Rainier at extraordinary speeds. The objects moved, according to Arnold, like a saucer skipping across water. The press quickly transformed that description into the phrase, flying saucer. The term captured the public imagination immediately. Within weeks, newspapers across America reported hundreds of sightings. Some almost certainly involved ordinary aircraft. Others involved astronomical objects. Some were likely misidentifications caused by weather conditions or unusual perspectives. A small percentage remained unexplained. The modern era had begun. Roswell and the birth of suspicion. Only weeks after Arnold's sighting came the Roswell incident. Military officials initially announced recovery of a flying disc. The statement was quickly withdrawn and replaced with an explanation involving a weather balloon. Decades later, additional information revealed that the debris was associated with highly classified surveillance efforts involving high-altitude balloons designed to monitor Soviet nuclear testing. For many observers, the revised explanation solved the mystery. For others, the changing official explanations became part of the mystery itself. Regardless of one's conclusions, Roswell established a pattern that would repeat throughout the decades. Unusual event, official explanation, public skepticism, continuing debate. The era of official investigations. The United States military took the report seriously enough to create several investigative programs. Project Sign began in 1948. Project Grudge followed. Eventually, Project Blue Book became the best-known effort. Between 1952 and 1969, thousands of reports were collected and analyzed. Most received ordinary explanations. Some did not. Blue Book's final conclusion stated that UFOs represented no threat to national security and showed no evidence of advanced foreign technology or extraterrestrial origin. The report closed the program. Public interest did not close with it. The Cold War. Shadow. The Cold War created conditions almost perfectly designed to generate mystery. Secret aircraft crossed the skies. Experimental propulsion systems were tested. Radar technology improved rapidly. Electronic warfare advanced. Reconnaissance satellites began appearing in orbit. Many sightings from the 1950s and 1960s were eventually linked to classified aircraft programs. The U-2 spy plane is one example. The SR-71 Blackbird became another. Aircraft that today appear in museums once looked impossible to ordinary observers. This fact produced two very different interpretations. One group concluded that many UFO sightings represented secret terrestrial technology. Another group asked an obvious question. If these technologies remained hidden for decades, what technologies might remain hidden today? The globalization of the mystery. The phenomenon did not remain uniquely American. Reports emerged from nearly every continent. Military pilots in Europe described encounters. South American governments established investigative offices. French researchers created formal scientific review groups. Belgium experienced a wave of triangular object reports during the late 1980s and early 1990s. The phenomenon appeared remarkably international. This complicated simple explanations. If the reports represented secret aircraft, whose aircraft were they? If they represented natural phenomena, why did some appear to demonstrate intelligent behavior? The questions multiplied faster than the answers. The Phoenix Lights. One of the most famous mass sightings occurred in 1997 over Arizona. Thousands of witnesses reported large formations of lights moving silently across the night sky. Some observers described an enormous V-shaped craft. Others reported separate groups of lights. Military explanations involving flares accounted for at least part of the event. Debate continues regarding whether all observations can be explained by that interpretation. The Phoenix Lights became an important turning point because they involved large numbers of witnesses spread over a wide geographical area. The digital age arrives. The internet changed disclosure forever. Researchers who once worked in isolation suddenly found each other. Documents became searchable. Witnesses could communicate instantly. Government archives became available online. At the same time, misinformation exploded. Authentic records mixed with hoaxes. Careful research mixed with sensationalism. The challenge evolved from finding information into evaluating information. Critical thinking became the most important tool in the field. The rise of independent researchers. A new generation of civilian researchers emerged. Some focused on government records. Others specialized in witness testimony. Some concentrated on aerospace engineering questions. Others explored consciousness, religion, and philosophy. Certain figures became especially influential in shaping public discussion. Some advocated for transparency regarding alleged government knowledge. Others focused on geopolitical implications. Still others explored ideas involving exopolitics, interstellar diplomacy, and long-term human futures in space. Agreement among researchers was often rare. Their disagreements became part of the story. 2004. The Nimitz Encounter. Many observers identify the USS Nimitz incident as one of the most important modern cases. Military pilots and sensor systems tracked unusual objects operating near naval exercises. Witnesses described objects that appeared capable of extraordinary acceleration and maneuverability. The event became one of the first major incidents supported simultaneously by eyewitness testimony and advanced sensor systems. Regardless of ultimate explanation, it helped move the subject into serious policy discussions. 2017 and the new era. The year 2017 changed everything. Major newspapers reported the existence of a Pentagon effort studying unusual aerial encounters. Public release of military videos generated worldwide discussion. The story moved from fringe publications into mainstream journalism. For perhaps the first time in decades, government officials openly acknowledged that some encounters remained unresolved. The conversation shifted dramatically. On why UFO became UAP. Language matters. The term UFO carried decades of cultural assumptions. Movies, television programs, jokes, and stereotypes followed the phrase everywhere it went. Officials increasingly adopted a different term, unidentified aerial phenomena. Later, the definition expanded further, unidentified anomalous phenomena. The change reflected a broader approach. The phenomenon might occur in the atmosphere. It might involve the oceans. It might involve near-Earth space. The objective became investigation without assumptions. Unknown simply means unknown. The 5 major schools of thought. By the 2020s, several major interpretations had emerged. Misidentification theory. Many sightings are ordinary objects viewed under unusual circumstances. Secret human technology theory. Some incidents involve classified domestic programs. Foreign technology theory. Some cases may involve advanced adversary systems. Extraterrestrial hypothesis. Some incidents may involve non-human intelligence originating elsewhere. Interdimensional hypothesis. Some researchers propose phenomena involving realities beyond conventional space and time. These explanations need not be mutually exclusive. Different cases may have different causes. The new question. For decades, people asked, are UFOs real? That question no longer dominates serious discussion. Military organizations, scientific institutions, and governments openly acknowledge that unidentified phenomena exist. The more interesting question has become, what are they? That answer may involve aerospace engineering. It may involve intelligence collection failures. It may involve breakthroughs in physics. It may involve entirely new categories of natural phenomena, or it may involve possibilities humanity has not yet imagined. From flying saucers to UAP. The transformation from flying saucers to UAP reflects more than a change in terminology. It reflects the maturation of the conversation itself. What began as newspaper headlines and science fiction speculation has become an area of congressional interest, military concern, scientific inquiry, and international debate. The mystery survived ridicule. It survived changing administrations. It survived the Cold War. It survived the information age. And now, as the world enters an era of artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, commercial spaceflight, and unprecedented sensor capabilities, humanity may finally possess the tools necessary to investigate one of its oldest questions with new seriousness. The age of stories is becoming the age of data. The age of speculation is becoming the age of investigation. The age of disclosure may only be beginning. Part 1. The Disclosure Era, Chapter 3. Congress enters the conversation. For most of the modern UFO era, the rules were simple. Pilots reported sightings. Military personnel filed paperwork. Intelligence agencies collected information. Researchers argued. The public speculated. Governments remained largely silent. Then something changed. The subject entered Congress. For the first time in generations, elected representatives began publicly asking questions that previously belonged almost entirely to classified environments and fringe discussions. What are these objects? Who knows about them? How long have they been studied? Who controls the information? The disclosure movement had arrived in Washington. The end of the giggle factor. For decades, the subject carried a professional risk. Military personnel often avoided reporting unusual observations for fear of ridicule. Commercial pilots worried about career consequences. Scientists avoided the topic entirely. The phrase career-ending move became common among those discussing unexplained aerial phenomena. This cultural stigma became one of the most significant barriers to investigation. Ironically, stigma itself eventually became a national security concern. If trained observers avoid reporting unknown objects operating near military facilities, critical intelligence information may never reach analysts. The issue shifted from belief to reporting discipline. The 2017 turning point. The modern congressional era of disclosure largely began following public reporting concerning a Pentagon program studying unidentified aerial encounters. Videos recorded by military sensor systems entered public discussion. Naval aviators described encounters that they considered highly unusual. Among the best known were the so-called tic-tac, gimbal, and go-fast incidents. Whether these incidents ultimately proved to involve advanced technology, sensor anomalies, misunderstood natural phenomena, or something entirely different, they succeeded in changing one thing: the conversation became official. The role of the Senate and House Congress does not investigate because something is proven. Congress investigates because something matters. Lawmakers from both major political parties began expressing concern regarding airspace security, military readiness, drone incursions, intelligence gaps, aviation safety, and government transparency. This bipartisan interest surprised many observers. The issue no longer belonged to a single political ideology. National security questions tend to transcend party lines. The whistleblower era. Perhaps the most important development involved whistleblowers. Former intelligence officers, military personnel, and defense officials began speaking publicly or through protected channels. Some alleged the existence of long-running classified programs involving recovered materials or advanced technologies. Others focused solely on the need for better reporting mechanisms and transparency. These claims remain controversial. Claims are not evidence. Allegations are not proof. At the same time, Congress generally treats sworn testimony and classified briefings more seriously than internet rumors. This distinction became central to the new phase of the disclosure movement. David Grush and the public debate. One of the most influential figures in the modern discussion became former intelligence officer and UAP task force member David Grush. Grush stated publicly that he had interviewed numerous officials who claimed knowledge of hidden programs involving recovered technologies and non-human materials. Importantly, Grush repeatedly clarified that many of his claims were based upon interviews and documents he reviewed, rather than direct personal observation. Supporters viewed his testimony as historic. Critics argued that secondhand information requires independent verification. Both perspectives highlight an important principle. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The debate surrounding Grush became less about whether his claims were true and more about whether Congress had sufficient authority to verify or falsify them. Global Robotics Corporation, Robert Colee.